And welcome to this week's edition of the Life and Legacy Show, sponsored by the Sechler Law Firm, where great families make great estate plans. My name is Tim Sechler, and I thank you for joining me for this week's episode of our radio show that we call the Life and Legacy Show. If you want to find out more about the law firm, it is sechlerlawfirm.com, SECHLER lawfirm.com. We are a dedicated estate planning and elder law firm located in Cranberry Township, writing lots of wills and trusts and doing some work with post-death administration. And we do types of cases in our firm that are called nursing home crisis cases, which is a situation where somebody ends up in a long-term care setting, a nursing home, and wants to know what they can do to access government programs and not go broke in the process due to long-term care costs. And that's a lot of what we do. And I can tell you, having done this for more than a decade now, there's an awful lot of things we can do to help with that situation, which, I consider to be probably the biggest financial threat that most people will face in their lives. It is certainly in their retirement years, is what happens if I need a nursing home. And we help people with this issue, but it's best if you plan ahead. The techniques that we can use, the tools that we can use work better if we can plan ahead. And so that's, one of the things that my message in doing this radio show, I've been doing this radio show for 3 years now. Just trying to get people to understand that, what these tools are and some different techniques. And, we learn lessons over the time. And what I realized is, there was probably a better way for me to be doing this business and getting our services to people. And so we've created some new ways to interact and work with our law firm. I think they're better. And I talk about them from time to time here on the radio show. And we've been getting some calls recently, some people asking us about our Red Wagon Club. Somebody recently asked me if they could join the Red Wagon Club. And somebody else asked me, can you tell me more about your Red Wagon Club? And people that aren't even our legal clients are wanting to join the Red Wagon Club. And so I thought maybe I'd take a few minutes and explain what it is, how it came to be, and why I think it's the right way of doing this. So the name Red Wagon Club comes from the way that we explain trust at our law firm. I like to tell a lot of stories. I think these are complicated issues, and they usually work to teach these concepts usually works better with stories and or analogies. And so we say a trust is like a little red wagon, like picture like a radio flyer wagon, right? And there's other episodes where I have discussed how trusts work and whatnot, but we use a little red wagon to describe the concept of a trust. And what the Red Wagon Club is a community of our clients who sort of subscribe to the idea that estate planning, when done properly, is not a transaction. It is a process to be managed over time. And so most law firms, if you go to an estate planning, including the way that we use to run our law firm, if you go to an estate planning law firm, you'll end up with a set of documents. And then once you have the documents, that's sort of the end of the transaction. And in fact, in law school, they call this transactional law, right? You come to the law firm, you pay the law firm for a thing, a service, a good, and then they provide the thing, and then the transaction is over. I don't think that that's the way estate planning should be done. I mean, my experience has been people's desires change, people's family dynamics change, the law changes, your financial position changes. And so estate planning is a thing that needs to be checked in on from time to time and managed as part of your, adulting, as part of managing your affairs well. This is a process to be managed and think about from time to time, not some document I stick on a shelf that I did 20 years ago and I haven't looked at since. But that's the way that most law firms are run, is once you have these documents, there's not much interaction, particularly for middle-class folks. Wealthier folks, they meet with their estate planning attorney annually, every other year, because one, some of the documents are more complex, but two, the things are changing and there's more dollars on the line. And it seems to me like that is the best way to do this. But to date, there really hasn't been much of a way to offer this to more middle-class families. in a way that makes sense for the family and makes sense from a financial standpoint for everybody, which is why we created our Red Wagon Club. And so what the Red Wagon Club is it's a community of our former clients that for a relatively low monthly fee, we provide tons of education to and keep the documents updated, invite them to annual review workshops, some fun events and whatnot. And so I'd like to describe how this process works because, maybe this is a thing that you've been sort of missing in your relationship wherever you got your last estate plan done. But it starts with a couple of basic ideas. And what I have come to learn is that for most middle-class families, I think that the middle class has been largely neglected when it comes to estate planning, right? There's some very, very good estate planning attorneys out there in the world who deal primarily in high net worth estate planning, $10 million, $15 million and up, where the family has predominantly tax problems. And so the lawyer focuses most of their estate plan on taxation and how to save taxes, and tax law is always changing. And so the estate planning tools are always changing. And so high net worth families have this sort of white glove service of continued support. It's a relationship, the way that estate planning works for wealthier families, but that has never really existed for middle-class families. If a middle-class family ends up in that law firm that does not have those tax issues, then the attorney, it seems to me, usually gives them a relatively simple will-based plan and sort of discounts the fact that this family probably has some other concerns, right? The other thing that could occur is middle-class families will go to sort of a general practice law firm, and in that law firm, the lawyer that they meet with does traffic tickets on Monday, divorces on Tuesday, criminal court is Wednesday morning, Thursday they write wills, Friday they golf. And, sort of this general practitioner doesn't really have a firm understanding of how some of these issues work. And, from my standpoint, the biggest issue that middle-class families face, especially in retirement, is what happens if we get sick, right? Because Pennsylvania is telling us that nursing homes cost almost $170,000 a year, and there's no help for that bill until you go almost completely broke. And 1 in 3 of us are going to have dementia. So if 1 in 3 people who hit age 85 are going to have dementia, nursing homes today's dollars are $170,000, and the government rule book requires you to go broke if you don't do proper planning. Boy, this seems to me to be a place where we should probably do some proper planning, right? And so if you talk to middle-class families, and my experience has been they are concerned about this issue, much the same way that a wealthy family is concerned about federal estate taxation, right? I don't want to give my money to the government. At the end of the day, I don't want to give my money to the government. I worked hard for my money. I want my money to get to my people with no past interceptions, right? And so for wealthy people, that means taxation. For middle-class families, to me, that means the government rule book that makes you go broke if you need a nursing home. So there's some things you can do, but the things that you can do are relatively complex, right? So now let's go back to the average baby boomer who wants to do some estate planning, middle-class baby boomer who wants to do some estate planning. Well, if they go to the high-end ivory tower law firm that does federal estate tax, well, those attorneys don't do much nursing home planning, right? Then they go to a general practitioner who doesn't know anything about nursing home planning and probably is going to tell the client there's nothing you can do within 5 years of the nursing home, which is not true. Or you could end up with an elder law firm, kind of like mine, right? Now, I personally hate the word elder law, the term elder law, because most of my clients are not seniors in the sense of, seniors, 85 and north. Most of my clients are in their 60s, but they are concerned about the fact that what happens if I get sick? We're retired or we're thinking about retiring. And if I go to a nursing home, how is my wife going to have a house to live in and some money in the bank? And the more educated that folks become, they realize that the legal community, at least my opinion, is the legal community is largely failing this client, because most estate planners, most attorneys would just tell you, look, you're not rich. All you need is a simple will. And I disagree with that. I think that there's a whole set of documents we should probably put in place, including a couple of trusts to protect the house and some money from this long-term care cost. But by the time you do that much work in a traditional law firm, it becomes pretty darn expensive, almost expensive to the point that a lot of families won't do it. And so what we did is we created a program that we do our estate planning through a series of classes. It's like estate planning university, if you will. You come to the 100 level class, and then you come to the 200 level class, and we teach you some estate planning concepts in groups, because what that does is it allows us to keep our billable hours down, saving you money. And by doing as much of this as we can in a classroom setting, we're able to keep our fees down, and families can do better planning at a reasonable fee, and plan for some of the biggest issues that you have in your life from a financial standpoint, is what happens with our healthcare in our retirement years. And so that's kind of been our philosophy. So we created this classroom-based approach to doing estate planning, which is why on this radio show, if you listen to the radio show, we invite you all the time to come to one of our 3 Secrets workshop. Well, that's the 100 level class, right? 3 Secrets to Protect Your Legacy. So you come to that class, and then we offer you a secondary class where you learn the 200 level stuff. Most law firms would charge you for those things. Those are free classes. At the end of that, then we ask you if you'd like to move forward. A lot of families like to move forward. We end up doing the estate plan. Now, what does that mean? That means that we've got some of the estate plan done, right? So we look at there being 6 components to an effective estate plan. The first is education. So I just described how you get your education. The result of the estate planning university is not a diploma. It is a written estate plan. We have legal documents at this point, okay? Most law firms stop there. That is the end of the transaction, the way that most folks work. Not for us. So then what we do is we have another class on what you need to do next. We teach you how to fund your trust, how to get what to say at the bank, how to move accounts around, how to get the deed of the house, and get everything sort of like financial alignment. All right, that's the next step. Lots of law firms don't do that step. Then where we go further is, I don't think estate planning is really death planning. And I don't think estate planning, when done properly, just answers the question, who gets my stuff when I pass away? I think there's an awful lot of work we got to do in addition to answering the question, who gets my stuff when I pass away? Which, these concepts are what we teach you at the 3 Secrets workshop. So if you want to come to one of the workshops, just go to sechlerlawfirm.com, learn about the workshops. They're free, and we give the education for free. My thing has always been educate the people for free. Don't do the initial consultation charge. Don't do the hourly bill to tell the Jones family the same thing you charge to the Smith family to tell them the hour prior, right? So we do this in a class to keep it free. So we do the education, then we do the documents, then we get the financial alignment in place. Next thing I want to know is we have to teach a class on healthcare, decision-making, and retirement, right? So we have a class that we call our Life Care Workshop, because the average consumer, the average retiree, does not understand the difference between independent living, personal care, assisted living, skilled care, how to get care in your home, how to get the care providers who will eventually provide care to you to understand how you are different from the person across the hall from you. And so we have a thing that we call our Life Care Workshop. Now, this class is taught by our social worker and an attorney named Roxanne, who is also a nurse, and they teach a class on long-term care decision-making and how you can get the care that you need. So we have that class. The next class that we teach is on memory planning, how to get the photos and videos out of your phone and into your kids' possession when you pass away, or now, because there is no family photo album anymore. But everybody wants the family photo album. It's just nobody prints pictures anymore. And so what we do is we have ways that we can teach you to get the stuff off of your phone to your kids when you pass away. And let's take it a step further. For the first time in human history, you got a device within arm's reach right now. You probably have a cell phone. That cell phone, you can hit the record button, and you can tell any story you want to tell on video in a format that your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids can watch, because there's no VHS tape that's going to get brittle. There's no VCR that's going to break. This is a digital video that there will always be a free digital player for. And we can actually talk to our great-grandkids. Now, I cannot go talk to my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-granddad, but if I could, I'd probably think of some pretty interesting questions that I'd like to know about his life right? Now, I can't ask him those questions. He's long gone, but what I can do is I can reasonably anticipate that my descendants may have the same questions. And why not just answer the questions? And so I think that this matters, and so we teach a class on how to do that. And the hardest part is hitting the record button and knowing what to say. And so we have a system where we teach you with various prompts. We ask you questions. For example, did you ever share a bedroom with a sibling when you were younger? Right. And instantly you're in storytelling mode, and we make it super easy for you. But by the end of the thing, you've recorded a bunch of stories that your family will find very valuable. And this to me is meaningful. I think passing your memories and passing the lessons learned during those memories and passing the photos and the videos, that to me is just as important, at least from an emotional standpoint, as getting the stuff to the kids. And so we teach our clients how to do that as part of the whole Red Wagon Club. And then the last thing that we do is I don't like to live in Fantasyland. Fantasyland would be, you could give me Mike Tomlin's playbook and it makes me a football coach. That's Fantasyland. I haven't played football in 20 years. I'm a great Monday morning quarterback, but I'm not a football coach. And giving me the playbook doesn't make me one. And so there's this thing out there in the world where law firms like to pretend that giving your kids some copy of some document they don't understand makes them a trustee. Right? That's not true. And so we like to step back into reality, and we teach your kids a class on what it means to be a trustee, on what these documents are, when to call, the things you need to know about this. And so we start to form a relationship with our clients' children so that they understand that when life throws a curveball, they know who they're working with, right? And so all of these 6 things, so there's the education, the documents, the funding, the healthcare decision-making, the memory planning, and the trustee workshop. Those things are the things that we work families through. Now, I think once we've gone through all of those elements, now we have an estate plan, right? That's an estate plan, not just who gets my stereo when I pass away. That's a document. You see the difference? But once we have clients that have gone through this entire process with us, which takes some time, then we got to update those things, right? This is not a transaction. This is not a one and done thing where we can put the thing on the shelf and forget about it. And so what our Red Wagon Club does is it continues to support people. You want to amend your documents? Great. It's included. You need us to look over some contract that some insurance company sent you? Just send it over. You want to remember what the heck you did in these estate planning documents? By the time people do the estate plan, they go through and they get these documents, they understand them. But my experience has been, if I see at Lowe's in 18 months and ask you to explain your document to me, you're probably going to have a difficult time doing it. I mean, ask yourself honestly, if you did an estate plan before, do you understand it? You did at the time you signed it, but do you really understand how the thing works now? And talk about living in reality. Let's get real. This is perishable stuff. It's complicated. If you don't deal with it every day, you kind of forget how it all works. And so we do an annual review workshop with our clients. Just, hey, here's how these documents work. Remember, this is how you use this tool. This is how you use that tool. And oh, by the way, here's the way the law has changed in the last year. And if there have been things that have changed in your world and you need to make some revisions, then let's get you on the calendar and let's make the revisions. But I'm not going to just give you some documents, take your money and forget about you. So the Red Wagon Club is ongoing support to that end. Then what we do is we have some fun events. What we're starting to see happen is a social aspect developing within our clients where we do like a Pirates game. We did the Riverboat. We did the Gateway Clipper this year. We've got a fun holiday party coming up. And because it seems to me that most people who work with my law firm have an awful lot in common. One, we live in the same city. Two, we are generally the same age, generally the same financial net worth, generally sort of the same picture of a socioeconomic situation, and they got a lot in common. And so what we're starting to see is friendships occur within our Red Wagon Club, which is really kind of a neat thing. And we're all sort of guided by this general idea that estate planning is kind of a lifestyle, right? I mean, the commitment to a successful estate plan, it's not like you need to rearrange your lifestyle, but it should be a component of it. Most families take more time planning the family vacation than they do planning how things are going to go in retirement. And what we want to do is make sure that you've got the right legal documentation in place, that you got the right financial alignment. Now, we don't give financial advice, but we know a lot of people, and we just want to make sure that this whole thing just works well for you, because I don't think that you worked wherever you worked for the last 60 years. I doubt you did it to lose it all to taxes or the government or the nursing home or it's just poor planning. If we're going to do this, let's honor what you've built. And that's the Red Wagon Club, right? And if this all sounds appealing to you, then you should check us out. Come to the SechlerLawFirm.com. Come to one of our free workshops. We'll teach you all about it. You'll learn the pricing structure and how the whole thing works, which in my opinion is pretty reasonable. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But for a lot of people, it seems to be a fairly interesting thing. Now, what you cannot do is you cannot join the Red Wagon Club without doing the estate plan, right? So there's a lot of people who want to do like the Pirates game and the social element of it and the updates and, well, this other law firm wrote my estate plan. Why can't you just update it? Well, because there's a different philosophy on how we do planning. Most of the time, the documents that come through are more interested in answering the question, who gets the leftovers, than they are in planning for the main event, which is having a healthy and successful retirement. Yeah, sure, we got to get the stuff to the kids, but let's do this thing right first, and so that's kind of our perspective on it. So you cannot just join the Red Wagon Club. You have to do your estate plan with us and learn about this. And then that way, once we've done the estate plan, then we know how to keep it updated, and we know you, and we've developed a relationship with your kids. And so that's how I run the practice, at least when we're working with middle-class families these days. That's what the Red Wagon Club is all about. It's a commitment that we have to the ongoing success of our clients. And so I appreciate the folks who have reached out asking about it, because it's come up a few times on the radio show. And so we've gotten some inquiries about what it is and how to join and all the rest. And so, the idea is it's open to our clients, and we'd love to have you as a client. But to join us as a member, you have to go through the workshop. So if you go to SechlerLawFirm.com, SECHLER lawfirm.com, during the workshop, there's a number of different things that we teach you. We teach you the difference between wills and trusts. Okay, we teach you the difference between revocable trusts and irrevocable trusts, and why some families decide one or the other, and some families use them all. But we want to teach you this stuff, and it's a free class, and it's fun. It's this. We don't just stand up there and read the PowerPoint slide to you. These are pretty interesting conversations that we've been doing for a long time, and so it's the information you need, whether you decide to work with my law firm or not. I think it's the information you need in order to make some of the initial estate planning decisions. And so come check us out. You're going to learn about Medicare. You're going to learn about how Medicare is failing seniors. You're going to learn about Medicaid. And Medicaid is no perfect system either, but at least, it does pay for long-term care costs. So if it's the only game in town, it is the only government program out there paying for the nursing home. Well, the rules stink. Like, nobody really thought this thing through, but just like most things, it pays to understand the rules, and there are opportunities within those rules if you plan early. And those are the things that we're going to teach you: is wills versus trust, revocable trust versus irrevocable trust, how to get your care without going broke if you're going to have dementia. How do you get the care you need without your spouse going broke in the process? Because I don't believe you've lived your whole life to lose your stuff to that. Okay, so come check out one of the workshops. Now, if you have somebody currently going through a long-term care battle, and it's more of a crisis situation, this time of year, there's more healthcare events and nursing home admissions in the winter than there is in the summer. And so if you've got a situation where you're the caregiver for an adult with some health issues, and you want to know the difference between a personal care home, skilled care, nursing home, how can we get the care we need without going broke in the process? Well, that we typically don't do through the workshop. That we typically would just give you a free consultation, because the ability to plan ahead, we may have already lost. So now we got to manage this crisis scenario. And it's often we're able to protect people's money even after a nursing home admission, about a half a dozen times a month, we work with a family where somebody's in a nursing home, they're going broke, they're going through $15,000 a month, and the family wants to know, is there anything we can do to protect money? Well, the answer to that is, yeah, there's probably still some options. I mean, every family is different, but there are some things we can do, and that's what we want to learn. We want to learn if you're a family that we can help, because some families it works better than other families and whatnot. But that's why we give free consultation, so we can help figure out if we can help you protect the house, protect some money, because I'm tired of seeing people go broke because of dementia and this broken government rule book that we have. So I want to thank you for checking out today's episode. Thanks for your curiosity, those who called in about the Red Wagon Club. We look forward to seeing you at one of the upcoming workshops. Remember, today is for your education information. You should not make legal decisions based on this or any other radio show. If you need some legal help, give us a call, 724-841-1393. And we look forward to meeting you. And we'll see you here next week. Thanks a lot.